Hello YouTube world, welcome back to the workshop. Project I've got for you this week, I'm going to make from this piece of oak. And I'm going to make a nice urn, or maybe a vase, or maybe a box. I have a friend of mine who lives in the next village, and he works at a local sawmill, and quite often he drops around some bits and pieces of wood for me. And this, I'm pretty sure that's oak. It looks very much, that end grain on there looks like oak, but it's a very light colour, very heavy, very dense. So I'm going to make a, let's say, urn, and I'm going to use this lid. This was a failed project. It's just a nice piece of yew satin resin, and I made this quite a while ago, and I could never quite understand it because I put a piece of yew in the bottom, piece of yew in the top, filled it up with resin. The top piece went off, the bottom piece went off, but I had a piece about 10-15 mil in the middle that wouldn't go off, and I could never understand why quite. But anyway, so I got this piece left, and I thought I'll turn that up and make quite a nice lid. So that's the project for this week. First thing I need to do, get that piece of oak set up between centres, knock the corners off, turn it into some sort of shape. So we're ready to turn. I've got my 4-prong spur in that end, I've got my revolving spur in that end, I've got my spindle rough and gouge, and the first thing I do is turn it into a cylinder. Well, that's definitely a piece of oak. You can really smell its oak when it's cutting. It's very light for oak, I have to say. Alright, carry on. Still got some quite big flats on there. I'm going to get a cut and tenon on this end, and I'm going to use my big set of jaws to go in there. It's just about there. The other thing I want to do is, because I'm going to be working on this a long way at the chuck, I want to make sure that that is held right up against the back of there. So that tenon on that side needs to be at least 12mm deep. So as we're looking at this, the top of the urn is going to be on the left hand side, and what I'm doing at the moment, I'm just truing that top up. It's a little bit out of square, and I just want to give that a nice rounded over shape. What I'm doing now, I'm just coming in, I want to cut the waist, so the vase will just taper down, have a waist at the bottom, and then have a relatively wide foot on the bottom. So I'm just going in with my spindle gouge and just cutting all that, just truing it all up, taking it down as much as I possibly can. So next I'm just coming in my roughing gauge, and I'm taking a lot of that diameter away on my foot. I don't need a lot of that. Just going in with my parting off chisel just to give myself a dating point for the bottom of the vase, and then just going back and trying to taper it down. This is one of the new tools that I bought last week, and it's got a rounded end to it, which is ideal for cutting an air. Just absolutely slices right through it. And then that was a square one, and I just taper it. Just use that just to clean that end up. I know what I'll be using in future to cut my tenons with, which just means I need to take more out of there. That's incredible how easy that cuts in there, and it's giving me a really good finish. It's chipped up on there. I like these tools very much indeed. That's lovely. I'll just get and sand all that up, and I'll get back to you. I sanded all that down to 600, and I didn't have a very good finish on there. And what I actually went on did in the end was got some of the sandpaper, and I actually sanded it with the grain as opposed to across the grain like you normally would. So I actually got in, and I got a really nice finish off there. It's really lovely. So what I'm going to do now some sand and sealer. Certainly brings a grain out on that. That's beautiful. If only oak didn't split as much as it did, it'd be lovely wood to work with. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take this piece off the lathe, chuck it all, and then I'm going to turn this piece of yew in resin. I'm not sure what size I can turn that to, so I need to turn that to the finished article, and then I can put this piece of wood back in the lathe and turn it to fit that. So that's the resin and the yew all set up in the lathe. Now the first thing I need to do is just flatten that off across the bottom and put a recess in there so that my jaws can hold that in expansion mode. That's brilliant. What I'll do now is I'll just sand that up and polish that up, and I'll get back to you. Right, sanded that down to 600. Put the sand and sealer on there. Quick buff. Quick polish. So that yew does polish up lovely. Right, so that's ready now. I can get and turn that around and put my other jaws in. So what I'm going to do is take some clean up cuts across there, get rid of all the soft tacky stuff, and hopefully it's a bit harder in behind. Pretty good. That I'm going to put a knob on there, so that will get turned away very shortly. A bit of photography. I forgot to press the play button. Alright, so that's the lid starting to shape up. A big chunk snapped off there. Alright, I'll just clean that up and then sand that down. Oh, that's it all sanded down to 600 with some sand and sealer. Clean bit of cloth, just give that a buffing. That looks pretty spectacular. I think I'm going to have to try and think of a project to do with resin and yew, because the two really complement each other really lovely. What I am going to do just before I take this off the chuck is I'm just going to go with my thin part and off tool, just put a slight undercut in there. And that's because sometimes you get a slight ridge on there, and when you're trying to get a tight fit, and then the lid won't go all the way in. So that way that should go straight on and sit down up against that edge very nicely. So now I've finished the lid, and what I've got to do now is go to hollowing this. So the first thing I'll do is just finish off this top. So now to hollowing. So the first thing I'm going to do, I think it's about a 12mm drill. I'm going to put that right the way down through to about the bottom of there. I run down through there with a 12mm drill, and I've tried to go down through there with a, I think it's about a 70mm Forstner bit I got, and it's not having it. There's too much vibration on there and it doesn't like it at all. I'll go back and try with my new carbide tip tools, see what that's like for hollowing. doing it, but I don't like it very much. There's a lot of vibration there. It's going to take me a very long time to hollow this. It's doing it slowly, but it's doing it. Right, so I'm trying to hollow down through there, and because I'm so far at the chuck, I'm getting an awful lot of vibration in there, and there's a vibration detector in this lathe, and when it vibrates too much it cuts the power out, which is annoying. Also, I'm worried if I take too heavy a cut on there, I'm going to pull this out of the chuck. So what I've done, I've set up my 3-wheel steady. I've made this quite a few years ago. I've got 2 rings of 18mm ply. These are all on butterfly nuts, so they just come down and rest on the wood, so that hold it in place. And for the runners here, you can see they're old inline rollerblade skates, and that's what the piece will run on. The piece that I cut out in the middle, I made this. I put a chucking point on the back, got some self-adhesive velcro on there, and then I use that as a sanding pad, and that's the piece that came out of there, so none of it was wasted. So now I should be able to get to and hollow that out a lot easier. Kendall's was just showing you how well my new cutter works in there. It's taking that out there really quickly. It's making a really nice job of that. So I've hollowed that right down through, as you can see. Gone right to the bottom there, hollowed that right out. And what I'm going to do now is just I'm not going to give it a fantastic sand inside, but I will give it, I'm going to use this Hope sanding arm. The other thing I like about sanding inside hollow forms is this, it's just a piece of stick, and what I've done is glued a bit of hooking loop on the end, or self-adhesive hooking loop. Just glued it on the end. I keep my old bits of sandpaper or abranet, and then we go inside there, and that'll make a really good job of sanding that out. It's surprisingly smooth inside of there. That's all that's left for me to do on there, is to open that out to fit the lid. It's going to be my very next job. So what I'm doing now, I've just got in my calipers, I've set these very slightly smaller than the opening I need for the lid, and then I'm just going in with a carbide tip tool, just gradually open that up. There was a tremendous amount of vibration going on with this. I took very delicate, very small cuts on this. But I will, with the power of YouTube, make this a perfect fit for this lid the very first time. I just got to pretty much the size I want now, and I'm just using that swan neck cutter just to take some of that excess wood away. I didn't want to do that until I knew what the exact size of that opening was going to be. So that allows me just to go in and just give a slight undercut in there and just take some of the wood away from that top. I'm very impressed with these tools. They really are very good. I'm beginning to wonder how I ever managed without them, to be honest. And there we go, absolute perfect fit. So all that's left for me to do now is just put some sand and sealer and some wax on there, and we're finished. So all that's left now is for me to part that off there. I've got my 1/4 inch parting tool, I'll give it a really good sharpen. And again, with all these projects, my chisel will be going in at that sort of angle, so that'll give me a nice hollow, and it'll just sit on that outside rim. I'm not going to go through all the way through because I'm too much of a coward, so I'll probably only go about 2/3 of the way, and then I'll cut the rest off with a saw. I've taken the 3-wheel steady away. I don't need that anymore to hold it. I made that 3-wheel steady probably about 6-7 years ago, and it's probably only about the 3rd time I've ever used it, but it is an invaluable bit of kit when you need it. That's as far as I dare go. Well, here we go, YouTube. One quite nice oak iron. I quite like that. Whether that lid's a bit small for the top of there, but it does look nice. Lovely. You can have that lovely fit. Vacuum when you take the lid off. Lovely. Beautiful grain pattern running down through there. Very typical of oak. And I don't know whether I actually press the record button, but I just got my pyrography kit out and I put a woodpecker on there. And if people don't like it, they can put that side out, the lovely grain. But if they're into birds, they can put that side out. Tell me what you think about that. Not sure whether I like it or not. I can see me in a few days' time sanding all that off of there. Well, thank you very much for watching. That oak, very hard wood. I was getting a lot of vibration out, hollowing that. It was a long way outside the chuck. I had to be very delicate with that. I was quite surprised it stayed out even with the 3-wheel steady on there. But I think it's quite a nice project. It does look very nice. And as always, I've had a nice day down in the workshop. I hope you enjoyed it, because I did. And I will see you all again next week. You look after yourself and you take care. Bye bye.